In the time of King David, his son Amnon, the firstborn, developed an obsessive lust for his half-sister Tamar, the beautiful daughter of David by another wife. Tamar was the full sister of Absalom, another of David's sons. Amnon's desire for Tamar consumed him. He became so infatuated with her that he made himself physically ill, for Tamar was a virgin, and there seemed to be no way to approach her appropriately. Amnon had a cunning friend named Jonadab, the son of David's brother Shimea. Jonadab noticed Amnon's distress and asked why he looked so haggard. Amnon confided in Jonadab about his feelings for Tamar. Instead of discouraging Amnon, Jonadab devised a deceptive plan. Jonadab told Amnon to pretend to be sick and request that his father, King David, send Tamar to care for him. Following the advice, Amnon feigned illness and summoned King David. When David visited, Amnon said, "Please let my sister Tamar come and prepare some food for me here, so I may eat from her hand." David, unaware of Amnon's intentions, agreed and sent Tamar to his house. Tamar came to Amnon's quarters and prepared bread in his sight. She kneaded the dough, baked it, and served it to him. However, when she brought the food for him to eat, Amnon refused. Instead, he sent everyone out of the room, leaving the two of them alone. Amnon then told Tamar to bring the food into his bedroom so he could eat from her hand. When Tamar complied, Amnon seized her and said, "Come to bed with me, my sister." Tamar resisted, pleading with him. She said, "No, my brother, don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace? And what about you? You would be like one of the wicked fools in Israel. Please speak to the king. He will not keep me from being married to you." But Amnon refused to listen. Overpowered by his lust, he overpowered Tamar and raped her. Afterward, Amnon's feelings for Tamar immediately turned to hatred, an even stronger hatred than the love he had felt before. He told her, "Get up and get out." Tamar pleaded with him again, saying, "No, sending me away would be a greater wrong than what you have already done." But Amnon would not listen. He called his servant and ordered him to throw Tamar out and bolt the door behind her. Tamar was wearing a richly ornamented robe, the kind worn by virgin daughters of the king. When she was thrown out, she tore her robe, put ashes on her head, and wept bitterly as she walked away. Tamar sought refuge in her brother Absalom's house. When Absalom saw her distress, he comforted her, saying, "Has Amnon, your brother, been with you? Be quiet for now, my sister. He is your brother. Don't take this thing to heart." Tamar remained desolate in Absalom's house. When King David heard about what had happened, he was furious. However, he did nothing to punish Amnon, perhaps because he was his firstborn and heir. Absalom, on the other hand, quietly nursed his anger and hatred for Amnon. 2 years later, Absalom took his revenge. He invited all the king's sons to a feast at his estate. During the feast, Absalom commanded his servants to kill Amnon when he was drunk. They followed his orders, and Amnon was killed. The rest of David's sons fled in fear. When David heard of Amnon's death, he mourned deeply. Absalom, fearing retribution, fled to the land of Geshur, where he stayed for 3 years. The story of Amnon and Tamar highlights several powerful themes and lessons that resonate across generations. One prominent theme is the destructive power of unchecked lust and lack of self-control. Amnon's obsessive desire for Tamar blinds him to moral boundaries and ultimately leads him to commit a grievous sin. His actions demonstrate how selfish desires can cause irreparable harm to others and destroy relationships within families. Another significant lesson is the devastating impact of sexual violence on the victim and those around them. Tamar's anguish and desolation following the assault illustrate the emotional, psychological, and social toll that such acts can have, particularly in a society that often blamed and marginalized victims. Her story serves as a sobering reminder of the importance of protecting the vulnerable and seeking justice for those who are wronged. The story also reveals the consequences of poor leadership and the failure to address wrongdoing. King David's inability to discipline Amnon not only exacerbates the pain of Tamar's suffering but also fuels Absalom's anger and thirst for vengeance. This failure to act decisively sets off a chain reaction of violence and betrayal within David's family, leading to even greater tragedy. Finally, the story emphasizes the destructive nature of vengeance. Absalom's decision to kill Amnon in retaliation for Tamar's assault highlights how unresolved anger and the pursuit of personal justice can spiral into further destruction. Together, these themes underscore the importance of accountability, justice, and the need to confront sin and its consequences in a way that promotes healing rather than perpetuating harm.